When trying to understand the basics of probability, stat crunch isn't very helpful. However, there is one problem in this lesson that I think stat crunch can come in handy. So in Module 3, Lesson 1, when you're trying to get the basics of probability down, problem 31 says this. Roll a pair of six-sided dice and then record the sum of the two. So let's see a visualization of that. Before we get to stat crunch, we got to do a little bit of work on our own. So let's kind of visualize all the different outcomes of the first roll. So here's roll 1. Well, the first roll, you could roll a 1, you could roll a 2, you could roll a 3, you could roll a 4, you could roll a 5, or you could roll a 6. Okay? There's all of the possible rolls. I know it doesn't fit in my camera, but I think you get the idea. And then here's roll number 2. After rolling a 1, maybe you roll another 1. Or maybe you roll a 1 and then a 2. Or roll a 1 and a 3, a 1 and then a 4, a 1 and then a 5, a 1 and then a 6. So there's roll number 2. Or maybe you roll a 2 first and then a 1 and then a 2. Maybe you have a 2 and then a 3, a 2 and then a 4, a 2 and then a 5, first a 2 and then a 6 is possible. Okay? So there's all the second rolls. So you could roll 1, 1, 1, 2, so on and so forth. So far we got 12 possibilities, right? A 1, 1, a 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, a 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 6. 12 possibilities. Or you could roll a 3 first, and then, I think you get the idea by now, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and then a 6 after rolling a 3. Or maybe you roll a 4 first, and then roll a 1, 2, 3, maybe a 4 and then another 4, a 4 and then a 5, or maybe a 4 and then a 6. Or maybe you roll a 5 and then a 1, a 5 and a 2, a 5 and a 3, a 5 and a 4, a 5 and a 5, a 5 and a 6. Or maybe you roll a 6 and a 1, 6 and a 2, a 6 and a 3, 6 and a 4, a 6 and a 5. Or maybe you roll the highest of them all, a 6 and a 6. So what they want us to do is they want to look at all the possible outcomes. How many possible outcomes do you got? You got 6 here, 6 here, 6 here, 6 here, 6 here, 6. You got 6 times 6. So you got 36 possible outcomes. Okay? So now what I want to do is I want to take roll 1, roll 2, and I want to add them together to get the sum. Okay? Let's add these together. So when we add these together, let's see what kind of sum we get. 1 plus 1 is 2. 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 3 is 4. 1 plus 4 is 5. 1 plus 5 is 6. And 1 plus 6 is 7. So there is all of the ones that, there's all the sums that have a 1 for the first roll. Just to kind of like keep things nice and clean for me. A 1 and a 2 gives me a 3, and then a 4, and then a 5, and then a 6, and then a 7, and then an 8. So those are all of the sums when you first roll a 2. A 2 and a 1 adds to a 3, a 2 and a 2 adds to a 4, so on and so forth. Okay? Now what happens if you roll a 3 first? Let's add those up. A 3 and a 1 gives you a 4. And then you get a 5, 6, 7, 8, and a 9. So that is, first roll is a 3, and then add them up. There's the 6 possible sums. How about here? Start with a 4. 4 and a 1 is a 5, and then a 4 and 2 is a 6, and then a 7, then an 8, then a 9, and then a 10. So there's all 6 possible sums if your first roll is a 4. 4 and a 1, 4 and a 2, 3, 4, 5, a 4 and a 6 gives you a 10. Now how about a 5? A 5 and a 1 is a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that is a 5 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 5 plus 6 is 11. Okay. Now how about a 6? 6 plus 1, 2, 3. Uh-oh. I hate to do this, but 6 plus 4, 6 plus 5, 6 plus 6. Okay, so there is all of my sums, okay? The smallest sum is 2, and then we could work all of our way up to a sum of 12. So there's all of our possible outcomes. We could get all possible sums are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and you could add to 12. 6 plus 6 was 12. Okay, so there's all the possible outcomes. And then they're going to ask, well, what's the probability that you get that outcome? Remember, there's 36 possible outcomes. Out of those 36, how many of those were a 2? Well, that is just this one. Okay, so 1 out of 36. See if I can keep track a little bit here. So the sum of 2 was the probability 1 out of 36. We'll get the decimal equivalent in just a second. How about a sum of 3? Well, let's count up the number of 3's we got. I'm going to circle them along the way. 1, 2. That's all the 3's we got. The sum of 3 only happened twice out of 36 times. And now, how about the sum of 4? How often did we observe that? 1, 2, 3 times. 3 out of 36 times. And then how about the sum of 5? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 36. So we're starting to see a little bit of a pattern here. And then how about the sum of 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 36. Now how about the sum of 7? Well, let's look back up here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 out of 36. And now we're going to talk about the outcome 8. Well, there's no 8's here, but there is one 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now it looks like it's starting to work its way back up. 5 out of 36. And I bet from here you can kind of see the pattern. The outcome of a 9 will be 4 out of 36. The outcome 10 will be 3 out of 36. The outcome 11 will be 2 out of 36. And the outcome 12 will be 1 out of 36. You can check me to make sure I'm right, but that's going to be it. Now we just need the decimal equivalent for each one. Okay? What's the decimal equivalent for these guys? This is in the calculator. To 3 decimal places, 0.028, 0.056. They want 3 decimal places. 0.083. 0.111. 0.2 13.9 when you round up. 0.167 when you round up. And we already have these down here. So filling them in from the previous ones. Okay, so there it is. That will give us the probabilities. Now we just got to type them in. All right, so let me go ahead and type those in. Lost my place a little bit here. All right, hopefully I typed those in right. All right, so now I got to go back up and see where I made the mistake. That looks good. I messed up right there at 7. I don't know what happened. So at 7, that should be, let's go back up to 7. Yeah, just making sure you type it in right. That's 7, 8. 9. I think everything else looks good. I think that does it. Let's make sure all the other ones look okay. All the other ones look okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's what should happen. But then they say that we're actually going to do it. So what we just calculated was we calculated the classical probability, what should happen. Now we're going to make some observations and find the empirical probabilities. So we're going to simulate the roll of 100 die in this thing here. And this is where StatCrunch can come in handy. Upload the data into StatCrunch. Let's get these 100 rolls into StatCrunch. And we want to find the sum of these rolls, right? Well, here's where StatCrunch can come in handy. I'm just going to go ahead and label this sum. And what we're going to do is we're going to let StatCrunch add these two together. And how we're going to do that is we're going to go to Data. And we're going to go to, oh goodness, where was it? Compute. And we're going to compute an expression. And the expression we're going to compute, we got to build it, so click Build. And we want to add die 1 plus die 2. We want to add those two together. Hit OK and compute. And that does it for us. Well, it skipped that column, so I guess I can just delete that. Okay, but there it is. That is die 1 plus die 2. I went to Data. I went to Compute, Expression, and I built my expression by clicking on die 1 plus die 2, OK, and then compute. Right? That did it for me. There it is. And now what I can do is I can use my histogram. Let's go to my histogram. That's under Graph. Histogram. select die 1 and die 2. That's where all the sums are. And let's get, they want the probability. Oh, what do they want? I think that they want the frequency and the probability. We'll do frequency first. You know what? I should have put the values over the bars. Go back here. Put the value over the bars. And then that way you can write those down. All right, we can write those down, or we can just type them in. There it is. There's the tally. And we can type in the tallies that are on top of the bars. So I just need to make sure that I type these in right. So I'm just typing in the values that are over the bars. Okay, so that will give you the tallies. And now we need to find the probability. The probability can be found by going back to edit, and instead of frequency, look, instead of frequency, click relative frequency. Make sure the values are over the bars. Yep. The relative frequency will tell you the probability. There it is. And just make sure you type those in correctly. Okay, so I got all the probabilities in from my histogram. Okay, and hopefully that will do it. I typed it incorrect. Makes me nervous. All right, excellent. Well, look at the probabilities. Looks like they're pretty close, right? Let's see what they're not equal. That's true. They're definitely not all identical. Yeah, that one looks pretty good. They're not equal. This is because 100 simulated rules is not enough for the law of large numbers to apply. I would say that's true. They are generally exactly the same to 2 decimal places. I would say probably they're not equal because of the law of large numbers. Let's see if that's going to work out for me. Okay, that's great. All right, well that's quite the video, but I hope it helps. And you can see how StatCrunch can help you with probabilities of these type. All right, talk to you next time.